If you've ridden big American twins your whole life, this might be the hardest truth to hear. The numbers don't lie. 7 Japanese cruisers now deliver the same torque, less weight, and thousands in savings over Harley's lineup. These are honest machines built to ride, not pose. In this video, we'll see exactly where they're beating Harley and where Milwaukee still holds ground. And the last bike will let you sell your Harley. Number 7. Honda Shadow Phantom. When a motorcycle manages to look mean standing still, you know it was built with purpose. The Shadow Phantom is one of those machines that lets its steel and stance do the talking. It carries that old-school spirit many riders remember from the days when motorcycles were built to ride far and last long. Every line on this machine speaks to the kind of man who values honesty and design. No tricks, no plastic showpieces, just clean metal and steady muscle. From the saddle, the first impression is confidence. The low stance invites rather than intimidates. Wide bars fall naturally into your hands, and the controls feel familiar even if you have not ridden for a few years. This bike respects its rider's age and experience. It is simple to manage at slow speeds and steady once the road opens up. You can sense that balance before you even reach the end of the driveway. It is a motorcycle that does not fight back. It works with you, quietly and consistently. The motor hums with a calm rhythm that feels tuned for long roads. For men who rode heavy American cruisers and now prefer something easier on the knees, this one strikes that balance. There is no extra weight hanging over the front wheel, no drama when turning into a corner. The frame sits lower, the power arrives smoother, and the sound is still pure twin thunder. The feeling of control returns to your hands, and that is worth more than horsepower ever was. The seat sits low enough to keep both boots planted. That alone builds trust. Older riders appreciate that stable footing when backing out of a tight spot or moving through gravel at a gas station. The Phantom's ergonomics are built for exactly that. Confidence without effort. You do not have to stretch for the controls or lean too far into the wind. You simply sit down and ride. The suspension smooths out small imperfections in the pavement without numbing the feel of the road. Every vibration carries a familiar heartbeat. What stands out most is how honest it feels. There is no pretense of racing lineage or marketing flash. It is not pretending to be a rebel. It already is one, because it refuses to play the luxury game. When you roll on the throttle, you hear that deep note that says it has enough power to pull you through any merge, yet it never tries to prove anything more. It is that steady rhythm that wins older riders back, a reminder that the best rides were never about numbers, but about time well spent on the highway. The Shadow Phantom delivers 45 horsepower, 745 cubic centimeters, and 47 pound-feet of torque. It features a single front disc and rear drum braking system, a telescopic front fork paired with dual rear shocks for a balanced suspension setup, and a wet weight of 549 pounds. The seat height rests comfortably at 25.8 inches, giving riders solid footing and control at low speeds. With a starting price of $9,299, the Phantom remains one of the most approachable and best balanced cruisers in its class. It proves that quiet confidence can still turn heads without demanding attention. And as this list unfolds, the next motorcycle shows that bold design and practicality can live together on the open road. Number 6. Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Custom. Few bikes capture the spirit of the open road like this long, low bruiser built for pure presence. The 900 Custom is one of those machines that carries attitude in its stance alone. From a distance, its long, stretched silhouette looks more like a custom build than something that ever sat on a dealership floor. It is the kind of motorcycle that was designed for riders who still appreciate steel and proportion, not unnecessary electronics. The narrow front wheel and low, sweeping frame create that unmistakable chopper profile. Yet the ergonomics remain friendly enough for long days in the saddle. Every inch of this machine seems to exist for one purpose: to turn heads without turning ownership into hard work. Slide onto the seat and you can feel how the engineers understood what real riders want. The 900 Custom feels balanced, substantial enough to inspire confidence, but never heavy enough to wear you out in traffic. You can cruise through a town with one hand resting on the tank, and the bike keeps its composure. It is simple, pure, and mechanically honest. That honesty carries through every component. The design favors simplicity over gadgetry. There are no digital distractions, just a clear analog speedometer and a tank that still looks like a tank. Chrome is used with restraint, accenting the dark bodywork instead of overpowering it. When the sun hits it right, the paint reflects with depth that feels earned, not sprayed on by a committee. The rear fender hugs the tire like it was sculpted from a single piece of metal, and the exhaust lines trace a clean arc along the frame's edge. This is craftsmanship built to satisfy riders who still care about lines and balance. The 900 Custom honors that tradition without pretending to chase a new audience. What separates it from the heavier American cruisers is how manageable it feels at everyday speeds. There is no intimidation factor when pulling into a tight space, no heavy front end that demands muscle at slow turns. Once you reach the highway, the long wheelbase smooths the ride, and the engine hums with steady rhythm. The vibrations are deliberate, never harsh, reminding you that the machine is alive but disciplined. For older riders used to larger cruisers, it offers a refreshing middle ground, strong enough to pull, light enough to handle, and dignified enough to park anywhere with pride. The 900 Custom delivers 50 horsepower, 903 cubic centimeters, and 58 pound-feet of torque. It includes front and rear disc brakes, telescopic front forks, a twin-shock rear suspension, a wet weight of 610 pounds, a seat height of 27 inches, and a starting price of $9,499. It represents what many riders still value: real metal, clear purpose, and the comfort of knowing every mile ahead will feel like the first day you rode it home. The next motorcycle on this list takes that sense of authority and stretches it into a full-size touring platform built for open highways and long horizons. If you've ridden any of these bikes or owned a Harley yourself, drop a comment and tell us your story. Number 5. Kawasaki Vulcan 1700 Vaquero. Every twist of the throttle here feels like a salute to real touring, the kind meant for riders who measure journeys in miles, not minutes. The Vaquero was built for that moment. It carries the heart of a cruiser, but the endurance of a touring rig, wrapped in a design that speaks the language of open roads and state lines. The lines are wide, the stance commanding, and every surface looks built to swallow miles. This machine does not chase attention. It earns respect one county at a time. For riders who once swore by heavyweight baggers, it delivers that familiar authority without the punishment that often comes with it. The frame-mounted fairing cuts through crosswinds with calm precision, keeping your shoulders steady and your neck relaxed. Behind it, the cockpit feels traditional. Big gauges, clear controls, no nonsense. Everything is right where you expect it. There is room for gear, a seat that supports real travel, and a layout that favors miles over minutes. The Vaquero feels honest, even proud of what it was made to do. The paint has depth, the chrome is restrained, and the sound that rolls out of the exhaust is as full as any rider could ask for. It is not about rebellion here, it is about rhythm and endurance. The chassis carries its weight low, which gives it balance that surprises you the first time you roll away from the curb. The long wheelbase tracks straight and true, and the suspension feels tuned for the kind of highways where you settle in for hours. On rough pavement, it holds firm but never punishes, keeping the ride planted without the bounce or chatter that some touring bikes struggle with. Braking feels deliberate, strong, and predictable, exactly what a heavy cruiser should offer when fully loaded. From the moment you pull out of the driveway to the time you roll back home, the Vaquero gives the impression that it was engineered by people who actually ride. What sets it apart is how effortlessly it carries speed. You can leave a small town behind, twist the throttle, and the pull feels immediate and sure. The motor finds its stride early, building smooth torque instead of raw noise. You do not have to fight it, you just guide it. The fairing, the floorboards, and the ergonomics all work in concert to keep fatigue at bay. It feels like an honest partner for the kind of journeys where the only clock that matters is the one the sun keeps. This motorcycle was not designed for quick errands. It was built for stories measured in miles, not minutes. The Vaquero delivers 76 horsepower, 1,700 cubic centimeters, and 107 pound-feet of torque. It features dual front and single rear disc brakes, advanced front and rear suspension, a wet weight of 836 pounds, a seat height of 28.7 inches, and a starting price of $18,699. It stands as proof that real touring strength does not have to come with excess weight or empty flash. Before we hit the next bike, gear up right. The helmets, gloves, and accessories I use are linked below. Let's roll. Number 4. Yamaha VMAX. The first time you hear this engine fire, it doesn't just start, it declares war on mediocrity. The VMAX does both. It is the muscle bike that refuses to apologize for being overbuilt, overpowered, and unmistakably mechanical. From the moment the starter growls to life, you know this is not a cruiser for casual rides or quiet coffee stops. It was born to remind riders what unfiltered horsepower feels like. Every angle, every line, and every sound from its exhaust speaks to that purpose. For older riders who remember the golden era of Power Wars, the VMX feels like coming home to a time when engines did the talking and steel meant something. The stance is low and aggressive, but the ergonomics keep it comfortable enough for real-world riding. The seat feels planted, the bars fall naturally, and the pegs sit just far enough forward to stretch the legs without losing control. From behind the grips, you see a tank that seems carved from metal and intent. And when you roll on the throttle, the machine answers with the kind of authority that only a true power cruiser can deliver. The pull is instant, the rush addictive, and the sound that follows could wake a memory buried decades deep. For riders who lived through the two-stroke age or the birth of the first big twins, this machine hits every nostalgic nerve without living in the past. It is proof that Japan still knows how to build a legend that feels personal, not corporate. The VMX handles its weight better than most expect. The frame and suspension work in quiet coordination, keeping the motorcycle planted even when the engine is roaring. There is nothing twitchy or unstable about it. The design is muscular, yet surprisingly civilized, the kind of balance that lets you cruise the boulevard or drop into a sweeping curve without thinking twice. It rides with purpose but not punishment. The brakes offer real confidence. A squeeze of the lever brings deliberate, linear stopping power. This motorcycle demands respect, but it gives it back tenfold to any rider who approaches it with discipline. That control is what makes the VMX so memorable. It never hides its strength, but it also never loses its composure. You can feel the engineering restraint that keeps all that force channeled and usable. The throttle response is smooth, not jumpy, and the gearbox engages with reassuring precision. Every shift feels mechanical, deliberate, and deeply satisfying. This is not a bike that flatters you with electronics. It challenges you to ride better, to match its capability with your experience. It is an iron handshake between rider and machine, and once you have felt it, it stays with you. The VMAX delivers 170 horsepower, 1,679 cubic centimeters, and 112 pound-feet of torque. It stands as living proof that raw muscle and refined control can coexist. The next motorcycle on this list proves that innovation and modern comfort can share the same road without sacrificing that unmistakable cruiser soul. Number 3. Honda Rebel 1100. This machine doesn't ask for your respect. It earns it the moment rubber hits asphalt. The Rebel 1100 does exactly that. It feels like something familiar yet modern, a machine that respects the rhythm of the road while quietly rewriting what a cruiser can be. For riders who have spent years behind big fairings and heavy chrome, it offers an easier, more agile way to chase the same freedom. It does not scream for attention. It earns it with balance, refinement, and honest engineering. This motorcycle carries the quiet confidence of a tool designed to work, not pose. From the first roll of the throttle, the feeling is unmistakable. Power comes in smooth and early, giving you that steady pull without any drama. The clutch is light, the shift's precise, and the chassis feels predictable under every kind of pavement. The riding position is relaxed but not lazy, with just enough lean to make you feel connected to the road. For older riders who still crave performance but refuse to wrestle unnecessary weight, the Rebel hits the mark. It is strong enough to hold highway speed all day, yet tame enough for a casual evening cruise. This is a bike that carries its strength like an old friend, always there, never showing off. What sets it apart is the way it blends modern technology with old-school practicality. You get ride modes that adjust power delivery and traction, but none of it feels intrusive. The electronics are there to help, not to take control. The suspension is firm enough to carve corners yet comfortable enough for long days in the saddle. Every element is tuned for real-world use, from the low seat height that lets you plant your feet confidently to the manageable weight that keeps low-speed maneuvering easy. The brakes bite cleanly without grab, and the engine's heartbeat reminds you why you fell in love with twins in the first place. The Rebel looks compact, but it carries an attitude larger than its size suggests. The design is stripped down and muscular, almost industrial, giving it a timeless profile that could fit in any decade. The exhaust note is mellow at idle, but full of life once the throttle opens. The Rebel 1100 produces 86 horsepower, 1,084 cubic centimeters, and 72 pound-feet of torque. It reminds riders that progress does not have to mean forgetting where you came from. The next motorcycle on this list keeps that philosophy alive, trading futuristic flair for classic comfort and the kind of nostalgia that still makes American roads feel endless. If you're enjoying this breakdown of Harley's toughest rivals, hit subscribe to stay ahead of every ride that matters. Number 2. Suzuki Boulevard C50. There is something about a motorcycle that looks like it has been on the road forever. The C50 carries that timeless charm, the kind of silhouette that could have rolled out of a classic postcard from Route 66. Its long fenders, deep paint, and balanced chrome make it unmistakably a cruiser, not a modern experiment or a passing trend. For riders who still believe a bike should look like a bike, this one delivers that feeling with quiet confidence. It is built for real-world riding, not for posing. From the low seat to the calm idle, everything about the C50 whispers durability and grace under pressure. The riding position feels exactly how a cruiser should. The wide bars give you full control without effort, and the clutch engagement feels predictable from the first pull. Out on the highway, the C50 finds its rhythm quickly, settling into a smooth, steady pace that feels unhurried but confident. It is not about showing off speed. It is about holding a steady line and enjoying the road ahead. The bike feels lighter than it looks, thanks to balanced geometry and thoughtful weight distribution. For older riders used to heavier iron, this is a machine that takes away the fight and gives back the joy. The real strength of the C50 lies in its simplicity. There are no unnecessary electronics or modes to scroll through. It is just steel, fuel, and the unmistakable rumble of a well-built V-twin. The finish quality speaks to Suzuki's long-standing reputation for reliability, and the shaft drive system ensures you spend more time riding than maintaining. The sound from the exhaust is a soft baritone. On long rides, the suspension keeps things steady, soaking up bumps without wallowing. The seat, wide and cushioned, was clearly made with distance in mind. Every touch point feels familiar, functional, and refined. This motorcycle appeals to the kind of rider who values honesty in machinery. The design is not pretending to be a chopper, not pretending to be a bagger. It is a cruiser in its purest form. Park it next to any heavyweight touring bike, and it still earns respect because it feels authentic. It carries no excess weight, no complicated identity. It simply exists to ride. That simplicity, combined with reliability, makes it one of the best value long-term companions in the cruiser world. The C50 embodies everything that used to define this class: approachable power, graceful lines, and a quiet sense of strength. The C50 delivers 53 horsepower, 805 cubic centimeters, and 53 pound-feet of torque. It is a reminder that not every great motorcycle needs to shout. Some just hum along year after year, doing exactly what they were built to do. The next and final motorcycle on this list proves that you can still capture that classic bobber spirit and bring it roaring into the modern age. Number 1. Yamaha Bolt R-Spec. Every rider reaches a point where the perfect motorcycle is not about flash or status. It is about balance, power, weight, and attitude, all tuned to feel alive under your hands. The Bolt R-Spec delivers exactly that. It is the kind of motorcycle that strips away every distraction and leaves only what matters: the road, the rumble, and the rhythm of a true cruiser. At first glance, it looks like a modern take on a garage-built bobber with clean lines, a compact stance, and a low seat that begs for long afternoons on back roads. But beneath that simplicity lies serious engineering, meant for riders who understand how real bikes are supposed to feel. The Bolt's frame is compact and rigid, giving it the sort of feedback riders miss in heavier machines. It handles tight corners and slow traffic with equal grace, offering agility without ever feeling nervous. The mid-mounted controls keep your body centered, giving you both leverage and comfort for extended rides. The styling is all muscle and metal. Nothing fake, nothing painted to look like chrome. The tank is sculpted for grip and presence. The fenders are cut tight to the tires, and the seating position feels deliberate. Every inch of the Bolt looks handcrafted for riders who prefer torque over talk and substance over style. On the road, the Bolt feels raw in the best possible way. The throttle response is immediate, with that unmistakable V-twin pulse echoing through the frame. The suspension does its work quietly, keeping things stable even on rougher stretches of highway. The bike has a low center of gravity, which makes it surprisingly easy to maneuver, and the combination of compact weight and steady torque means it pulls strong out of every stop. The clutch engages smoothly, and each gear shift lands with a mechanical certainty that reminds you this machine was built for riders who actually ride. It is not trying to outsmart you with screens or modes. It just does its job, mile after mile. There is an honesty in how the Bolt carries itself. It does not pretend to be a touring bike or a drag racer. It exists in that sweet spot between power and practicality, where performance meets poise. The sound is classic, the posture confident, and the ride pure. Older riders who remember when motorcycles were built around engines, not electronics, will feel an instant connection here. It brings back the era when machines were simple, direct, and personal, when your bike felt like an extension of your will rather than an accessory. The Bolt R-Spec has become something rare in today's market, a cruiser that feels timeless the moment you throw a leg over it. The Bolt R-Spec delivers 65 horsepower, 942 cubic centimeters, and 59 pound-feet of torque. It stands as the clearest reminder that craftsmanship and character still matter. In a world chasing new technology and endless upgrades, this motorcycle proves that the heart of riding, steel, torque, and independence, has never gone out of style. At the end of the day, every rider has to decide what matters most: brand, comfort, or truth. The bikes we looked at tonight prove that real performance and reliability don't have to wear a Harley badge. Japan didn't copy the legend, they refined it. But no matter what you ride, the road still belongs to those who never quit. If you found this breakdown useful, hit subscribe and join the conversation below. What's your take? Did Harley lose its way? Or is this just another cycle in history? Drop your miles, your model, and your story in the comments.